Fore Please.
Oh, what a shot. Oh, yes.
Have you seen anything like that?
Fore Please. Now driving.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fore Please Now Driving, the official Masters podcast. I'm your host, Marty Smith. Moving day at the Masters was a spectacular display of golf from the best players in the world. And for those who began the day atop the leaderboard, it started with a flourish, birdies in abundance, and patrons on their feet. Among that group was Rory McIlroy, who went on to become the first player in Masters history to record 6 consecutive threes, and he didn't slow down much from there. When the day concluded, McIlroy carded a 66 for the second consecutive day and was the outright leader after 54 holes at the Masters for the first time since 2011 and the first time in a major championship since 2014 at the Open Championship. Every time but once that he's been in that position holding the lead in a major after 3 rounds, McIlroy went on to win. The lone exception, that 2011 Masters that still haunts him.
Yeah, I think I still have to remind myself that there's a long way to go. Just like I said yesterday, 18 holes. I, just as much as anyone else, know what can happen on the final day here. So, I've got a lot of experience. I came in here talking about being the most complete version of myself as a golfer, and I just have to keep reminding myself of that and remind myself that no matter what situation or scenario I find myself in tomorrow, I'll be able to handle it.
McIlroy will be paired with Bryson DeChambeau for the first time ever in a major championship. DeChambeau sits at 10 under par following an impossible, incredible birdie putt at the last to raucous applause from the throngs of patrons surrounding the 18th green. DeChambeau pumped his fist in elation and celebrated with the patrons all the way to the clubhouse.
Yeah, I think it's fun feeling like you have to hit every single shot to the best of your ability, and you can't let off the gas pedal. You just got to focus and play the absolute best golf you possibly can.
McIlroy and DeChambeau will tee off Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, while Corey Connors, who stands at 8 under par, will join 2018 Masters champion Patrick Reed in the penultimate pairing. At 2:10, Ludwig Oberg and Jason Day will tee. At 2 o'clock, Scotty Scheffler and Shane Lowry. And at 1:50, Justin Rose and 2007 Masters champion Zach Johnson, who carded a fabulous 6 under 66 Saturday. It is such a joy to be joined by my friend Iona Stephen, has spent the entire Masters tournament covering 15 and 16 extensively. You've seen everybody come through now for 3 days, and I want to start with Rory McIlroy, yet another spectacular performance, and you were witness to an absolutely fantastic 15th from Rory.
Oh, it was worth the wait. We waited quite some time to see Rory come through, and we watched players. The tee shot on 15 is so important. It is a wide fairway. It's easy to underestimate, though, just how much attention you need to give that tee shot, because particularly where the hole location was today, if you pull one off that tee, you end up down the left-hand side. It gets a forward kick even further left, and you can be blocked out by the pine trees. So it's a really important tee shot, and when Rory got to that tee, he didn't hang around. He stood up and absolutely laced one right down the middle, like frozen rope, without a question the best tee shot we'd seen there all day, and it went a country mile. And we'd seen players, many of them who had tugged their tee shot, forced to play it as a 3-shotter. And, if you pull it left, it becomes a game of chess then, because, you're plotting your way all the way to the hole. And that wedge shot in there is particularly challenging with that shallow green. We had seen players hitting all kinds of shots. The guys who had managed to get a good one away off the tee generally had a wood in hand. They weren't going in with an iron. A couple 4 irons maybe, but predominantly even Scotty Scheffler had a wood into that green. Rory McIlroy, on the other hand, had a 6 iron in his hand, and both my colleague Ned Michaels and I looked at each other like, that was a spicy drive from McIlroy. best of the day. And, him and Harry Diamond, of course, his good friend and partner on the bag, they took their time. They discussed the shot. Rory stepped up and delivered. And, it was just incredible. What a shot. And, of course, it doesn't mean a lot unless you can follow up with the putt. And he did the business on that too.
It was so thrilling to watch him after his second shot quite literally walk it off.
Yeah.
He knew the second that club hit ball that it was money.
100%. Marty, that's going to be a shot that's remembered for a very long time. Of course, the outcome of tomorrow will determine the rest of the tale.
Indeed it will.
But whatever happens tomorrow, we know that that's going to be a shot that's etched in many golf fans' minds forever and ever. And we'll see it in frames, in golfing museums. We'll see it in books. That was a shot. We were witnessing history right there in that moment. McIlroy walking after his 6-iron from the fairway at 15.
Dare I say, Iona, Tiger-esque.
100%.
There have been comparisons to a certain shot Tiger Woods hit in the same place.
Oh, exactly. I've already seen comparisons popping up, and it's remarkable, their body language and the way they're walking after it, the right foot coming through. And, of course, Tiger has moved the needle for so long in the golfing world, but McIlroy's putting his own stamp on things. And tomorrow it's a huge day for him on the golf course. It's hard to believe it's been 11 years since he won a major. And although there are many shots we see of McIlroy out there walking on his own, there are thousands of people on his shoulders who are hoping that he can get the business done.
Iona, what is it about him that people revere so much? It is readily obvious. You talk about those people that he's carrying. It would be such an amazingly popular victory if he were to complete the career Grand Slam and slide that jacket across his back for the first time.
It's a great question, and one I think I'll struggle to find the answer to, because sometimes in life you have these characters that come into our lives, onto the screens, into our homes, and they just have this je ne sais quoi that we fall in love with, and Rory McIlroy, whatever it is, he has it, and we're all in love with it. And I think, of course, part of the narrative has to be that we've known him since he was just a wee laddie. He's just a wee boy, and we've seen his whole story, him bursting onto the scene with this big fluffy hair, that's bursting out his cap, and with his little, sort of rosy cheeks, and with so much raw talent, just the aesthetic beauty of his swing, but then the fact that it's a swing that looks that good and also performs that well. But I think a lot of people at some point in their life have found a moment where they have fallen in love with Rory McIlroy through his performance on the golf course, and they've joined the Rory bandwagon and thought, yeah, he's my guy now too.
And in your world and in my world, his thoughtfulness is quite rare.
Totally.
When you ask him a question, he genuinely considers the question and answers it with tremendous thoughtfulness. I always appreciate that about him so much, regardless of the athletes I interview across all of sport. I find him to be especially captivating in that vulnerable way.
100%. It's an incredibly considered answer at all times from Rory McIlroy, and not just in the good times. Rory has to speak to the media in the bad times too. And, I think that the fact he's willing to sit down and consider the question and give you his honest answer in a way that's not hurried, it's not rushed, it's true, it's honest, it's raw. And sometimes I think, he's been criticised for being too open and too honest, because that leaves him vulnerable, because out there on the golf course, it's a vulnerable place to be, and you have to have an edge. You have to have something that allows you to step on the neck of someone that's coming after you and get it across the line. And of course, Rory McIlroy has it. His record number of wins speaks for itself. But to be able to carry that sort of empathetic side, it's a very rare combination to have that absolute killer instinct, but also empathy and a humility in the way you go about your business. A very rare combo. You could probably count on one hand the players who have been true greats that have had it.
And he will be paired on Sunday at 2:30 with Bryson DeChambeau, who had just an immaculate putt on 18 to get to 10 under.
Yeah.
I was speaking with Mark Immelman last evening. I don't know if I can remember many people who've had this about face in the way that they're perceived in the public eye, the way that Bryson has. He's completely rewritten his brand.
It's remarkable.
And his image.
It's incredible. I'm a huge Bryson fan.
I am
always
too.
have been from the beginning. Like you, Marty, you know, we're there speaking to the players and we get to know them a little bit, you know, to understand their true personality a lot of the time. And Bryson is very generous with the media as well. He's, I feel, always prepared to give you a really thorough answer and very considered. But yet he's turned his brand around. So much of that's been about letting the people in, you know, and bringing them along to share the journey. You know, just think about when he won the US Open and he's handing the trophy around. You don't see that very often. And he's saying, I want you to all have a go. You know, you can all feel this and have this tangible thing in your hand too, because we're on this journey together. And you know, I'd say it's clever, but I don't think it's clever because I don't think he's doing it because of that. I think he likes having the support. I think he likes having the people on his side. And it was very interesting seeing Bryson come through our holes at 15 and 16 today as well. You know, we had McIlroy come through first and to see him hit that 6-iron was remarkable. Bryson then stood up and he had a 7-iron into the 15th. Now, it wasn't his best shot. He actually tugged it left and he faced a tricky up and down and he got it up and down. So he delivered with the birdie on 15 and then he stepped up and delivered with another birdie on 16. So 2 really crucial holes for Bryson in his Saturday charge. But, you know, he's a man of the people. He's got them on his side. Tomorrow, I think it's going to be fascinating to see who they root for out there.
Agreed.
Whose side of the patrons on. I think it's going to be tough. They'll probably, you know, for different reasons, want both of them to become the champion. And they'd both be deserving, brilliant champion.
The gallery following them, I was in the interview room after Rory's round, and I asked him, alluding to 2011, when he had the 54-hole lead here for the last time he had the 54-hole lead here. And I asked him, you know, I know that madness that will be surrounding you tomorrow as you play, but what about tonight? What will be your process tonight to make sure that you stay in the moment and don't let your dreams wander to your master's dreams, your thoughts wander to your master's dreams? And he evoked 2011. He said, if anybody knows what can happen on the last day here, it's me. And that is someone who's aware, that is someone who is battle-scarred over these last 10 years. Think about the U.S. Open. You just mentioned it. I mean, it was his. Yeah. And Bryson was incredible and won it. So it will be fun to watch those two go after each other. What did you see from Scottie Scheffler the last few days?
Yeah, well, you know, I've watched Scotty down on the tournament practice facility a little bit because in the morning I start my days down at Masters on the Range and sometimes have the pleasure of speaking to some of the players. I've observed him a little down there. Scotty going about his business in the way that he does. You know, he's an understated guy. Obviously, I've only had the chance to really witness him coming through 15 and 16. And today, you know, we didn't see probably what we expected to see from this great champion. And, you know, on 15, he found himself in a good spot and he sprayed his approach shot out to the right and he faced a very difficult up and down because that particular area that he missed it in actually went towards the observation stand to start with, and then he had to take a drop and it's in a trampled down section over there. So it was a really difficult up and down, but, you know, it wasn't quite the Scotty that, you know, we're used to seeing, and he hasn't had full sharpness coming into this tournament. There were question marks still surrounding what could he bring to the table. Obviously unfortunate that he had the accident with his hand, and that seems to have just knocked him off just a little bit. But as you know, Marty, it's tiny, tiny things in this game, and it seems like the majority of Scottie Scheffler's game is right on the money, but it's just a game of inches, you know, a little bit here and a little bit there. It's not quite on it. And unfortunately, when you have a leaderboard that's full of major champions surrounding you, there's just no let up. And these little mistakes really show on the leaderboard in the end of the day.
So if you were going to predict what might happen tomorrow evening, who might be atop that leaderboard, what do you anticipate?
For me, it's only one guy that's going to do it tomorrow, and it's Rory McIlroy. I really sense just in his body language, the way he's going about, he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Yes, he wants to. He wants to get the Grand Slam. He wants to join and become the 6th name in that very prestigious list. But I just sense, particularly with the way he came back after that poor finish on Thursday, we know the work he's been doing on his mental game, and this is a psychological hurdle for Rory McIlroy to get his arms through the green jacket. We want him to do it, but I really just sense there's a different McIlroy. He seems calm. He's got Harry by his side. Their reaction to everything today, including the eagle on 15, was understated, underplayed, and I just have a feeling that all the scar tissue, all the battle wounds that he's had to this point in his career are just going to give him strength in the final day tomorrow, and it is his to win.
I agree. On a personal note, quickly.
Yeah.
As someone who loves this game and lives this game and cares so deeply for the people that are in it, the players that play it, the history that built it, what does it mean to you to be someone that gets to share that messaging with the world in tournament play, on the course, watching the greatest in the world do it, and be able to articulate their magic?
It makes me a little emotional just thinking about it, but it means everything. It's a huge honor to be here. You know, this will be the 5th time I'm at the Masters, 3rd time covering 15 and 16. And, you know, it's an absolute privilege of my life to be here and part of this great tournament, to be part of history in any way, and sharing it with people that are just as passionate about the game of golf as I am. And to walk in the footsteps, and there's so much about tradition that comes at Augusta National, and I'd say that's the case for the media as well. And you just look at the broadcasters who have covered this tournament and some unbelievable names. It's a fabulous list, and to walk in their footsteps on this side of the ropes is a huge privilege for me and something I don't take for granted.
You do such a fantastic job, and it's always so nice to spend time with you. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Have a blast on Sunday.
I certainly will. Thank you, Marty.
Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence was on the grounds at Augusta Saturday and was kind enough to sit down with me for a wide-ranging conversation about the joy of the Masters, life in the NFL, and the perspective of a new father. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars and a young man I've known for a really long time. Great to see you. You look awesome.
Appreciate you, Marty. Great to see you, man.
Define your Masters experience. I mean, you're not wearing the same hat I'm buying over there at the merch shop, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's I got a chance, fortunately, to come in 2021, so I haven't been back since then, but it was an awesome experience. It was actually like 2 days before me and Marissa's wedding day, which is cool. So we went from here.
Pretty good week.
Yeah, it was an awesome week. So it's my 2nd time here, and we just got here. So this is one of my first stops. So that's how important you are to me, man. I stopped here first. So, but no, we're soaking it in. I got some buddies with me. Got my dad again with me here. So it's just a special place.
What are the must stops for you during the day? Because this is a place where you can genuinely disconnect.
Yep.
And you can be completely present with the people you love.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's not a bad place on the course. So I think it's obviously Amen Corner is a special spot. That's kind of where everybody goes, and that's a cool little corner there. That's awesome. But just walking everywhere, I think the big tree up by the clubhouse and by 1, seeing all the guys tee off. I think just not having your phones all day is such a cool thing. Not even just for yourself and to not be on it or distracted, but it's cool for guys like me and other guys that are out here to be able to walk around and have interaction with the fans. But it's not all about pictures and stuff. People will come up, shake your hand, say hey, and then kind of go on about their day. And everyone's here for the golf and to enjoy it and soak it up. And I think that's what makes it one of the most special sporting events.
I think one of the sort of correlating pieces between what these guys do and what you, specifically quarterbacks, do is you have to be willing to flush it. If there's a mistake made, errant ball, pick, missed a shot, whatnot, that you really want back, you have to be able to forget it instantly. And that's exactly what they're experiencing out here. If there's an errant shot, they don't hit their target, they're offline, they have to flush it and really redirect their mind to stay present. What correlation do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you just said. I think that's why I've always connected with golf and liked golf. And one, it's such a challenge. It's such a hard game. So I think that part of it, and just the solitude portion where you can go out and play and get time to disconnect and be outside and just enjoy it. But I think the actual game within the game, the mental part of it, is very similar to playing quarterback. Like you said, overcoming mistakes and being able to forget about mistakes mainly it can be hard. You're thinking about the last shot you just hit bad before, and you're trying to just do everything but hit it like that again, and then you end up doing it again. And it's a funny mind game, and I think playing quarterback and a lot of other sports are similar in that way, but there's definitely a lot of carryover.
I see a lot of similarities in personality between you and Scotty Scheffler, and here's how. You have this impervious ability to not be overwhelmed by anyone's reaction to what you do, good, bad, indifferent. What is it that, first of all, do you see that? Have you met him?
I haven't met him.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's a big compliment. I respect the way he handles himself. I think he's somebody that I really root for and enjoy watching. I think maybe that's why, is because the personalities I think are maybe similar in how we approach things, and just how he talks to media and does interviews, and just the way he looks at the game I think is fun to watch. And like you said, it seems like in every moment he just doesn't flinch. It doesn't mean he always wins and he always makes that shot, but it seems like he has the same approach regardless of success or failure. To me, the best comparison is that football is an important piece of Trevor Lawrence's life. It's not Trevor Lawrence's life. Golf is a very important piece of Scotty Scheffler's life. It's not his life. It's a silo in your life. But when you're the face of a franchise, or in his case, the best in the world, what's the challenge of ensuring that it doesn't become your entire identity? Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think it's something where you have to constantly remind yourself of that and have good people around you, but also, my faith is a big part of that. And I know it is for Scotty too.
Scotty,
so
yep.
There's those similarities, and I think that's why I think I can resonate with a lot of the stuff he says and does and the way he plays the game. But you have to always remind yourself, because while it's not your life and it's not who you are, it takes up a majority of your time. And so it's easy to sometimes blend those, and you get confused of it. Sometimes it feels like life or death, but it's not. It's not the most important thing in life. I think having a child now, I have a daughter that's 3.5 months old.
Same for him.
It puts things into perspective for sure. That's the most important thing in my life right now is being a good dad, being a good husband. So I think that and my faith piece are the priorities. But it is hard, because you want to have success so bad, and you put in all the work, you put in all the time, and you have to remind yourself and structure your life a certain way to where you have time for everything else.
What perspective has fatherhood given you that you didn't have previously?
That's a good question. I think the respect, this is a side note kind of, but the respect I have for Marissa, my wife, and seeing her
That is
carry
not a
our
side
child,
note, Trevor. That is the bullseye.
Yeah. So, I mean, that perspective is seeing her carry Shay, our daughter, and deliver her and be a mom, and like just the amount of respect I have for her, and just, it's been so impressive to watch that. And I already had a lot of respect and love for her, but just seeing her step into that's been unreal. So that part of it, and then just coming home and having a child, and they're dependent on you, and being that present dad. And I have a great dad, and so I've had a good example, but for a lot of people, they don't have that. So always trying to, moving forward, structure my life to where I can be the best dad and be present and just be there for her.
Kids don't care if you won or lost. They just want you to change their diaper.
That's a good thing too.
Rory McIlroy on Friday here, he had a really tough Thursday. I don't know how closely you've been able to watch the tournament, but he was 4 under par standing on the 15th fairway, double bogeyed 15, double bogeyed 17, leaves at even. And it's one of those moments that can derail you. Comes back on Friday, shoots 6 under, fantastic round. He's right back there near the top of the leaderboard. And what he told me after that round Friday was, I don't think I proved anything to the world, but what I did do was remind myself of the resilience that I have both as man and as athlete. What moment, I'm sure there has to be a moment for you when maybe you were reminded of that resilience. What was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think just in my career, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my first 4 years, honestly. And one of those downs being my rookie year was a really tough year, and lost a lot of confidence throughout the season. And it's just hard, transitioning, playing the NFL from college, and your team's different, the offense is different. You're in a new city, and when you're not having success and you're not playing well and you're not winning games, it can be difficult. And I feel like I lost some confidence along the way. So I think that for me, my second year, started my second year kind of rough too. I think we were 3-7 through 10 games in my second year. So it was like a full first season and half of my second season just not playing well, not winning. And I was able to, our team, we were able to go on a run, and I was able to play well individually as well through the last stretch, make the playoffs, win a playoff game, go to Kansas City, ended up losing in the divisional. But that gave me a boost back and did remind me of, I am resilient and I'm supposed to be here and I belong here. And I think that gave me a ton of confidence. Like, I resonate with what Rory's saying. Sometimes you need that to just, you have confidence, but sometimes you need that tangible, like, oh, I just did it. And it's a reminder of what you can do.
And those big platforms too, those big stages, just like the Masters for these guys. Every single one of these guys out here was the best player in their town, maybe their state, their college, etc. But then when it all filters down and distills down here,
yeah,
it's the 90 best players in the world, right? What are those things that you learned when you transitioned to the pro level? What were some of those things that were nuanced that maybe you didn't see coming?
Yeah, I think just the whole process and what makes someone a good player, a great player. It's that much. The margin's so small, and I think the mental piece of the game has become so important. And I've learned not even just in my first year, through the last 4 years, I've learned more every year of just how important that is, the preparation and what really separates players. There's a lot of players that I know that I've played with that are more talented than guys that are very successful in the NFL, but they weren't able to have that success. And the missing piece usually is the game behind the game and what is, the little details, the mental part of it, being prepared, being able to play fast, like all those things I think I've definitely grown appreciation for.
You ever played in a Pro-Am?
I have. Arnold Palmer.
What was the level of nerves when you were teeing off for the first time?
It's pretty nervous. I was pretty nervous. I played in in Lake Tahoe, so I was more nervous for that because I was by myself. I didn't have like 4 other guys to kind of bail me out. It's, the Pro-Am was more of like a scramble type thought. I played with Colin, so that was fun. But I was nervous. It's playing golf you could play in front of 3 people and you're as nervous as playing in front of a full stadium in the NFL. I mean, it's crazy.
I was saying earlier, it's funny what golf is. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, tennis, you name the sport, the ball's moving.
Yeah, it's reactive.
In golf,
it's fast, yeah.
That little white ball sitting there, and you it seems like it should be so easy.
Yeah.
And it's anything but easy. What'd you learn about Colin that day? Morikawa.
Yeah.
Morikawa.
Just seeing, yes, correct. Yeah, just seeing how he, the mental part of it, watching him process through everything, and because they're using it, those guys are nice enough. I couldn't imagine. First of all, the Pro-Am deal is interesting, like playing with different guys and corporate sponsors, whatever. Like right before you're about to start a big tournament, the way that those guys handle it, and they're gracious and they talk and they get to know you and spend time with you. I think that's cool, and they do it for 5 hours. We had a 5-hour round. I'm sure there's other things he could have been doing to get ready for the tournament. So that's cool. But seeing how he processes every shot, what they're thinking about, the different shots he'll hit around the green and spots that they might end up, and really how calculated it is. Like when we go play golf, I look at the fairway and I just try to hit the fairway. But there's a lot more that goes into it for these guys that are actually good at golf. So
a little more precise target than what you and me are hitting at.
And calculating all their possible misses and where they're going to be and their shots into the green. Like I'm just trying to hit it just a certain spot. Usually doesn't go there, and then I move on and hit it out of the woods somewhere. So
there will be people listening to this on platforms that they can't see us. We're sitting on the 9th tee box of the Augusta National par 3 course.
Pretty good view here.
What do you see? Describe it to somebody who's not seeing it.
Beautiful. Just the green, the color. I mean, everything's perfect. Just the green, the pine straw. I mean, the steps behind the hole right there. It's hard to describe, really. I think
it is.
It has a certain feeling about it. It's not even just how it looks. It's just the feeling when you're here. I think you hear the birds, you see the flowers everywhere. No phones in sight.
You feel rooted in it, don't you?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It feels like you're stepping away from everything. So, wish everybody was here and could check it out.
We'll let you step away now. Thank you so much for
Marty.
your time.
Enjoyed it,
Always
man.
appreciate seeing you, bud.
Appreciate you.
It's always so nice to sit down with Trevor. Best of luck to him as he prepares for a new season. Joe LaCava is caddying for Patrick Cantley this week, a tournament LaCava won in 1992 while on Freddie Couples' bag. and with Tiger Woods in the return to glory in 2019, one of the greatest moments in Masters history. This week, LaCava's son, Joe IV, made his Masters debut, caddying for Joe Highsmith. Earlier this week, I stood on the 6th green with both to discuss fathers and sons, the family business, and the latest chapter in an Augusta National LaCava legacy.
This is not your first time here, sir.
Right.
So how has the evolution of how you analyze this evolved over the years?
You know, for me, I'm kind of doing the same thing I do every year. You could maybe call it over caddying, but I still want to do my homework and get ready for, certain shots. And we're kind of out here together, and we're kind of getting a lay of the land. And we picked this green because there's so much slope to it. And we know there's going to be 2 pins up top, which can be difficult to get to. And obviously we're looking at the bottom pin, which you can get to pretty easily. And the back left is not so bad. So we're just trying to see, like Joe said, how much it's going to react off these hills, how much it might come back, kind of where to miss it. Because if it starts to get windy and stuff like that, it gets a little tricky. So you're almost trying to find out a strategy, okay, is long okay to these pins? That kind of a thing. And then the back left pin, where's the best spot to be to make a putt? And it's usually underneath the hole. Pretty simple stuff.
I'd imagine you remember well teaching him how to walk. So what is it like as a father to walk Augusta National with your namesake?
Yeah, it's pretty special, needless to say, obviously. We try to low-key it, but I'm very pumped inside the fact that those guys won like a month ago, which is incredible, because Joe Highsmith's a young kid. But the fact that, like, when everyone wins, the first thing they think about is, okay, I'm going to Augusta, right? And I know Joe Highsmith was super, super pumped. My Joe's super pumped. They've already been here a couple times. They probably know more about this golf course this year than I do. But it's very special. I mean, how many guys get a chance to do that, walk around with your kid at Augusta National? Probably nobody.
As a young man who grew up watching your father have some of the most iconic moments in the history of this tournament, what is your emotion to get to spend this time with Dad?
Yeah, it's super cool. Unfortunately, we're not staying together this week, but we stayed together a couple weeks ago and next week, so don't get to rah-rah at the house a little bit this week. But being on the course is awesome and trying to learn as much as I can. I mean, there's a lot to take in here, so it's going to be difficult to learn every single thing, but he gives me my space when I need it. But if I ever have questions, he's right there.
Joe mentions the absorption of learning as much as possible. What will you share with him about how best to negotiate Augusta National?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it, and we have talked about it. When I first came here, I was working for Fred Couples most of the time, and he was learning from Ray Floyd and Tom Watson, 2 of the best and guys that played great here. So it was one of those things where I tell Joe before he got here, I said, listen, obviously you got to pay attention to what your guy's doing, but pay attention to what the guys in the practice round are doing otherwise. So if Joe's over here chipping and putting, pay attention obviously, but if some other guys are chipping and putting around here, pay attention to what they're doing too, because you can learn a lot. So you watch your guy, but you watch other guys doing other things on the greens to take it all in. That's kind of what I did with Fred. Fred did that with Raymond and Tom. That's how I kind of learned the golf course.
How do you think now when you think back to 2019 and what you and Tiger accomplished together? Where does that live in your soul?
It's right up there. I mean, obviously I've got 2 kids and a wife, and those things are great, and they're kind of separate from that. But in terms of doing stuff on the job, I don't want to ever discount 92 because Fred Couples is like my best buddy of all time. So people say to me, what's more special? I said, well, they're both very, very special. But, to caddy for Tiger here 6 years ago, for him to win, his 15th major, 5th time around here, when, people kind of wrote him off, didn't think he could do much, incredibly special. I mean, top of the list special.
What do you recall as the most important decision you made that day on Sunday?
That's a nice call. Most important decision that day, we had a little bit of a, chit chat after the 5th hole, because I think he bogeyed 4 and 5, and it wasn't like he was leaking oil, but I could see there was a little bit of frustration going on. So we had a nice little chit chat on the 6th tee. I basically said to him, listen, you're the greatest player of all time. You made a couple bogeys, who cares? There's a lot of golf left, that kind of thing. I'm not a big rah-rah guy, but that day I gave him a little bit of a pep talk on 6th tee. And he came roaring back. I think he birdied 7 and 8 and made that great 2-putt on 9. I don't think because I gave him that pep talk, but I remember him just kind of absorbing it, paying attention, and I don't know if his mind clicked in a more positive way, but I think it helped a little bit.
What would you say in all the years here is your greatest memory on these grounds?
Wow, that's, I have a couple. I'll start with 92 when Fred won. He's got a 2-shot lead on 18T, which is the 72nd hole, obviously, and he hits it into the fairway bunker. And immediately, he's 13 under, Raymond Floyd's 11 in the house. So immediately, normally I'm pretty positive, I'd like to think so anyways, so immediately I start thinking of all the ways you can make a 6 and screw this hole up and get in the playoff and lose this thing, kind of choke it basically. And so in a matter of 10 seconds, all these ways, okay, you can scull it into the lip, comes back, you can fat it out there, knock it on 3-putt, and the pin's back left back then. So it's easy to 3-putt and, easier to make a, higher score. And so this is like a matter of 10 seconds, and Fred turns and looks at me. It's almost if he could read my mind, and he says, "Where is that?" And I said, "The bunker," and he says, "No problem." And then he went down there, hit a 7-iron, 15, 18 feet right of the hole to a back left pin, exactly pin high. I tell people to this day, he basically made a 2 right there. That was it. He hit it exactly where he was trying to hit it. So that's memory number 1. And then on 18, back to 18, my favorite hole, 12 and 18 my favorite holes. We get up there and, Tiger knocks it in. He's got a 1 foot or whatever, and he kind of hugs everybody, shakes their hands, and I'm kind of last. And the first thing he says to me is, "We did it." For your player to say that to you, and I know that he means that, and all the hard work that we put in, more so him, but the fact to say we did it, I mean, it's incredible, right?
But Joe, you have to give yourself a lot of credit because you were so loyal to Tiger throughout all of those back surgeries, all of that recovery, everyone discounting him. He's never going to do it again. There's no chance. And then you did.
Right. Well, that's kind of you to say, but I mean, I think in our business, you have to be loyal. That's part of it. That's what I tell Joe all the time. You got to be loyal. You got to stay positive. You got to work hard, stuff like that. There's going to be more down moments than good moments, so you got to stay positive, stay loyal to your guy, give it everything you got, and that's kind of what Tiger did to me and I did to him. And then to follow that up, to share that moment with his kids on the back of the green, for me, having kids, that was incredible. Almost brought me to tears that day because he was so amped up and he knew exactly where they were and he couldn't wait to get over there and give them a hug.
What's his legacy?
Iconic.
That's all from us here on Saturday evening at Augusta National. Sunday promises to be a fantastic day of championship golf as someone puts a green jacket on their back and walks directly into history. This is Fore Please Now Driving, the official Masters podcast. I'm your host, Marty Smith. I can't wait for Sunday.